safer world is possible, and together we can and will make it happen. Thank you.
When you show up in community, you find that group that makes you feel like home, but oftentimes you also find yourself again.
The royal family, guys, were way too concerned with Meghan Markle for the past 10 years. Because had they actually been focusing on Prince Andrew, then none of this would have been happening by now. They would have been sorted all of that out. Andrew was secretly selling off the Buckingham Palace tours and allowing these crypto businessmen to come in. And around this time, the royal press were too busy bashing Meghan Markle. Had they actually focused on the actual issues of the royal family, they wouldn't be in this position right now where they're being embarrassed left, right and center. But they wanted to sit there, hyper-focus on her and everything that she does and continuously malign her when the real problem was Andrew and he was sitting right there. Right now, he is embarrassing the royal family globally all over again. And to me, the stripping of the titles is too little too late. This man is not facing any consequences for his actions because him moving from the royal lodge to another fancy mansion is not accountability. It's not this man facing any consequences. They were too busy dragging Meghan left, right and center, trying to focus on find new information on her and everything for their clickbait articles, when had they actually focused on Andrew, they wouldn't be in this position right now. Pathetic.
Murad Merali makes a compelling argument that the royal family used Meghan Markle as a scapegoat to divert attention from the more serious scandal surrounding Prince Andrew. He asserts that the royal family, the late Queen, and the British press knowingly exploited Meghan, a biracial American woman, as a distraction, while the real monster, Prince Andrew's connections to Epstein, was allowed to fly under the radar. Merali praises Harry for choosing his sanity and wife over putting face for public and waving and smiling, pretending everything is well. He believes the royal family's plan to destroy Meghan was ultimately an unsuccessful attempt to cover up their own misdeeds and corruption. Merali contends that in the 21st century, people globally are growing tired of the royal family's lies, hypocrisy, manipulation, cover-up and corruption, and that karma exists regardless of their money, power, and status. The royal family's scapegoating of Meghan Markle. The royal family, the late Queen, and the British press knowingly used Meghan Markle as a scapegoat to divert attention from the growing scandal surrounding Prince Andrew. Meghan, a biracial American woman, was an easy target due to her outsider status and the underlying racism within the institution. Despite Meghan doing nothing wrong, she was relentlessly attacked and vilified by the tabloid media, royal experts, and even members of the royal family itself. This calculated effort to discredit Meghan was merely a smokescreen to shield the more damning revelations about Prince Andrew's alleged involvement with the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. The royal family's willingness to sacrifice Meghan, an innocent party, in order to protect their own, reflects the shameful extent to which they will go to maintain their image and control the narrative. Thankfully, Harry's decision to choose his wife and sanity over the public's expectations has exposed the hypocrisy and corruption at the heart of the British monarchy. The royal family's manipulation and cover-up attempts. The royal family, royalists, and royal experts were strategically utilized to disseminate negativity and hostility towards Meghan and Harry. The underlying motive was to orchestrate a systematic dismantling of the couple, serving as a diversionary tactic to conceal the connections between Prince Andrew, Fergie, and the disgraced financier Epstein. This calculated plan, however, has failed to achieve its desired outcome, as people across the globe have rallied in unwavering support for Meghan and Harry. The public's disdain for the royal family's lies, hypocrisy, manipulation, and corruption has only grown stronger, with the real scandal surrounding Andrew and Fergie now coming to the forefront. Despite the royals' attempts to use Meghan as a scapegoat, the 21st century global community is no longer willing to tolerate such blatant attempts at cover-ups and power plays. The tide has turned, and the royal family's tactics have been exposed, with karma poised to deliver its long-overdue reckoning. The 21st century has ushered in a profound shift in public perception toward the British royal family. Gone are the days when money, power, and status could buy the hearts and minds of the people. Today, the masses are sick and tired of the royals' blatant lies, hypocritical behavior, manipulative tactics, and shameless cover-ups. The real scandal lies not with Meghan Markle, but with the likes of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, whose connections to the Epstein scandal have been swept under the rug for far too long. The public is no longer willing to accept the royals' attempts to distract and deflect, as the tide of public opinion has turned against their corrupt practices. In the 21st century, the royal family's ivory tower has been shaken to its core, and they can no longer rely on their wealth and privilege to shield them from the harsh glare of public scrutiny. The royal family and the British media have known about the allegations against Prince Andrew for decades, yet they deliberately used Meghan Markle as a scapegoat and distraction to shelter the pedo, as you so aptly put it. They knew the truth about Andrew's despicable actions, but chose to instead focus their efforts on dismantling Meghan, an easy target who had done nothing wrong except love her husband and live her life as she saw fit. This calculated move was an attempt to cover up the royal family's own misdeeds and corruption while portraying Meghan as the villain. However, their plan has backfired, as people globally are sick and tired of the royal family's lies, hypocrisy, and manipulation. Karma is indeed coming for them, and they are now only doing the right thing because they have been shamed into it. Meghan's treatment has exposed the true nature of the institution she married into, and the world is watching as the royal family's house of cards begins to crumble. The royal family and the Murdoch media's relentless campaign to vilify Meghan Markle has undoubtedly backfired. Their callous attempts to destroy an innocent woman solely for the purpose of diverting attention from Prince Andrew's despicable actions have been exposed for the world to see. Harry was absolutely right to prioritize his wife's well-being and his own sanity over maintaining a false facade of propriety and public appearances. Karma is swiftly coming for the royals and the Murdoch empire, as their shameful behavior and blatant hypocrisy are now laid bare. No amount of money, power, or status can shield them from the consequences of their actions, as the global public grows increasingly weary of their lies, manipulation, and corruption. The real scandal lies with Andrew and Fergie and the royal family's decades-long cover-up. Meghan was merely a scapegoat, a convenient distraction from the true monsters within the monarchy. Despite the royal family's relentless attempts to dismantle Meghan and Harry, the public has rallied behind the couple in an overwhelming display of global support. The lies, manipulation, and cover-ups perpetrated by the royal establishment have been mercilessly exposed in the 21st century, with people worldwide growing increasingly sick and tired of the institution's hypocrisy and corruption. Meghan has done nothing wrong except loving her husband and living her life on her own terms, a fact that has only strengthened the public's admiration for her resilience and authenticity. As the real royal scandals, such as the Andrew and Epstein connections, continue to surface, the royal family's attempts to use Meghan as a convenient scapegoat have utterly backfired. Karma, it seems, is swiftly catching up with those who sought to weaponize their power and status against a biracial American woman who dared to challenge the status quo. The connections between Prince Andrew and the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein are the true royal scandal that has plagued the British monarchy. While the media and the royal family have sought to distract the public by focusing their attention on Meghan Markle, The reality is that Andrew's alleged involvement with Epstein is a far more heinous and damaging issue. The plan to use Meghan as a scapegoat and diversion from the Andrew scandal has ultimately failed, and now the royal family is being forced to confront the consequences of their actions. It is clear that the real monsters within the palace walls are those who have enabled and protected Prince Andrew, not the innocent woman they have sought to vilify. In the 21st century, the public is no longer willing to tolerate the hypocrisy, manipulation, and cover-ups that have long plagued the British monarchy. Karma, it seems, is finally catching up with the royals, and the true royal scandal can no longer be ignored. The royal family's shameful treatment of Meghan Markle is a clear-cut case of scapegoating, manipulation, and cover-up. While Harry and Meghan have garnered global support for standing up against the institution's injustices, the real royal scandal lies with the likes of Prince Andrew and Fergie, whose connections to the Epstein scandal have been swept under the rug for far too long. The palace and the British press knowingly used Meghan as a distraction, thinking they could get away with their deception in this day and age. However, the tide has turned, and people worldwide are no longer willing to tolerate the royal family's lies, hypocrisy, and corruption. Karma is coming for them, and no amount of money, power, or status can shield them from the consequences of their actions. The real monsters within the institution have been exposed, and the public is rightfully outraged that Meghan, an innocent woman who merely dared to love her husband and live life on her own terms, was made the target of such vicious attacks.